Somebody who's been fighting long and hard against election interference is Texas Attorney General Ken Paxton. Mr. Attorney General, great to have you in studio. Good to see you.
Great to be here.
I want to ask you about this. So how is it not election interference for Democrats, like your colleagues there in Michigan, the AG in Michigan, to now try and 60 days away from an election, keep somebody on a ballot because it will hurt the candidate that is not of her party, in this case, Donald Trump?
If they're not following state law, it's absolutely election interference. I'm not surprised. Look what's been going on with President Trump, all these lawsuits and trying to put him in prison. And of course, you have efforts like this to keep somebody on the ballot that's legally trying to get off the ballot. Seems absolutely wrong. And it's unfortunate that you have state attorney generals whose entire job is to follow state law and enforce law, try to work around it for political purposes.
Does she win this, you think?
Does who win this?
The AG in Michigan?
I don't know Michigan law. I don't know individual state laws, but I do think if she's not following state law, hopefully judges there will step in and do the right thing.
Yeah, they got to work fast, right?
Yep.
Because those ballots are going to be printed up. They start voting on Friday in
Wow.
North Carolina, which is just stunning that people need that much time to vote. I want to talk about something that's going on in Texas, your effort to get people that should not be voting off the voter rolls. And you've gotten thousands off the rolls. We're talking about illegals, right? So people that have crossed the border, people that have died. Some people died 30 years ago and they're still on the voter rolls, or people that have moved out of Texas. Happens all the time. First, how many did you find in Texas, and how many more do you think there are?
So it's a little over 1 million. This was an effort by our Secretary of State and Governor Abbott, which I applaud. I wish more states would do this because we have so many people, just like we had in Texas,
right,
that should not be on the voter rolls that can be mailed to and potentially illegally voted.
In Texas, ballot harvesting is illegal. It's illegal in many states. Ballot harvesting, basically, and correct me if I'm wrong, that's if somebody can't physically fill out a ballot, somebody can fill out a ballot for them and then indicate, who they are, why they did it. We're talking about a tiny percentage, but ballot harvesting is still happening in Texas, isn't it? And it's much more than you would think.
Yeah, you can vote for somebody if it satisfies certain specifics, like you were talking about. They are unable to vote for themselves, and then that person has to fill out some information about who they are so that we know who's helping them vote and we can check it out. In Texas, we've had people that have gone way beyond that, and that's the type of investigation we've got going now because we believe that some of that's going on in Texas.
Yeah, how popular is that investigation, just out of curiosity?
Well, I think that Texans think that any voter fraud should be investigated, and we're trying to do that. There are others who may be involved in it that obviously have complaints about us investigating voter fraud.
Okay, ballot harvesting, to me, it seems like it would be a tiny, minute fraction of the voting population that actually requires ballot harvesting legally. Can you take us through an example of a case where somebody would require their ballot to be filled out and when that would be legal? Of course, it's illegal in Texas, but when would that be acceptable?
Yeah, if they can't physically fill out, there are people that can't write, that can't actually physically fill out the ballot, but they can communicate, they're coherent, and they can have somebody fill out that ballot and direct how it's going to be filled out.
Yeah.
Somebody should not be filling out the ballot and making the choices for them. This has to be somebody directing that process.
Okay, so on day one, Inauguration Day 2021, Joe Biden announces to the world that he's not going to deport any illegal here in the United States. I'm wondering why. Here we are almost 4 years later, Mr. Attorney General. Why would he telegraph that to the rest of the world, that nobody gets deported?
Well, you bring up a very good point, which is this happened on day one. Why would you want to announce that you're not deporting anybody unless you wanted to signal that you wanted these people to come? And I think Joe Biden didn't wait for a couple months. He didn't wait for a week. He said, day one, I'm not going to deport you if you come here illegally. I think he was signaling to the cartels, hey, get your act together, get as many people here as you possibly can, knowing that they'll make money off of it in all kinds of ways, trafficking, drugs. And he sent the signal, you don't have to hide them anymore. You don't have to run. In the past, people had to get around Border Patrol. Now, they just show up and Border Patrol will transport them to the states that the Biden administration wants these illegals in. And my theory is they are giving out Social Security numbers, and with that, people are registering to vote because in most states, only like 3 states have a proof of citizenship requirement. And so we don't have a way to know.
We're out of time,
Yep.
but you're Attorney General in the second biggest state in the country. In your opinion, you think illegals that came here when Biden was president could be voting on November the 5th, 10 seconds?
Absolutely. I think it's happening, and I think that was the plan all along.
Wow. Ken Paxton, great having you with us
Thank
this
you.
morning. We appreciate you coming
Great
and
to be
joining
here.
us. Thank you.